You can't lose. Not because the world will hand you a win, not because life owes you anything, but because losing isn't in your nature. Not truly. It's a mindset, a choice, and you're better than that. You've been through too much, fought too hard, to let life break you now. Look around. The world isn't built to favor the strong, it's built to crush the weak. It doesn't care about your excuses, your fears, or your pain. It moves forward, relentless and unforgiving. But you don't break. Not like the rest. You've seen failure, haven't you? Tasted the bitterness of it. It cuts deep, makes you question your worth. But failure isn't the end of you, it's the making of you. Every time you fall, every time you're knocked down, you get back up, because that's who you are. Weakness isn't your destiny. Quitting isn't in your blood. You're not here to be another person lost in the noise. You're here to fight, to rise, to prove that no matter what comes your way, no matter how dark it gets, you can't lose. The only way you lose is if you stop fighting. And I know you've thought about it, don't lie to yourself. You've had those moments, haven't you? When the weight of it all felt too much, when the thought of giving up felt like the only option. But did you? No, you didn't. Because deep down, in the very core of you, there's something that refuses to quit. It burns. It screams. It tells you to keep going. That's your edge. That's what makes you dangerous. But let me tell you, something dangerous doesn't come easy. It takes pain, sacrifice, discipline. It takes looking at yourself in the mirror and admitting where you've been weak, where you've let yourself slip, and then fixing it. The mind is a battlefield. Every thought, every doubt, every fear, they're your enemies. They whisper lies, trying to convince you to stop. But you've got to shut them out, drown them in action, in focus, in fire. You can't lose because you won't let yourself lose. Not now. Not ever. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a win. Every time you refuse to quit, you're proving to the world and to yourself that you're unbreakable. And unbreakable isn't a word for the soft, the complacent, or the comfortable. It's for the fighters, the ones who don't back down no matter how many times they're hit. You've been hit, haven't you? By life, by circumstances, by people who didn't believe in you. But every hit you've taken, every scar you carry, is proof that you're still here, still standing, still breathing. And as long as you're breathing, you're in the fight. The fight doesn't stop, not for a second. It's every day, every moment, every decision you make. It's saying no to the easy path, no to the shortcuts, no to the distractions. Because the truth is, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to hand you the life you want, the respect you crave, the legacy you deserve. You've got to take it. Earn it. Fight for it. And fighting, it's messy. It's painful. It's lonely. But it's worth it. Because the alternative is settling. It's giving up on yourself, on your potential, on the life you could have. And that's not you. That will never be you. You've got too much fire in you to settle. Too much strength to back down. Too much heart to let the world break you. You can't lose because you've already decided you won't. It's not up for debate. It's not a question of if you've already made up your mind. You can't lose because you've learned something most people will never understand. Pain is not your enemy. It's your teacher. Every struggle, every heartbreak, every failure, it shaped you, made you sharper, stronger, more dangerous. They don't see it, do they? The people around you. They don't see the battles you fight in silence, the nights you spend questioning everything, the weight you carry on your shoulders. They only see the surface, and that's fine. Let them underestimate you. Because you're not here to prove anything to them. You're here to prove it to yourself, to show that no matter how many times you've been knocked down, you'll get back up again. And when you do, you'll come back harder, stronger, more relentless than ever before. This isn't about perfection. It's not about never making mistakes. It's about refusing to let those mistakes define you. You can't lose because every failure, every setback is a lesson, a step forward disguised as a fall. The world will try to convince you otherwise. It'll whisper in your ear, telling you that you're not enough, that the fight isn't worth it. But the world doesn't know you like you know yourself. It doesn't know the fire that burns inside you, the resolve that keeps you moving when everything else tells you to stop. Doubt will creep in. It always does. It'll try to weaken you, make you question your path, your worth. But doubt is a liar. It's a parasite feeding on your fear, and you can't let it win. You can't let it take root. And you won't. Because you've decided that quitting isn't an option. Because you've decided that no matter how hard it gets, you'll keep going. You've been through hell, haven't you? You've faced things that would break most people. And yet, here you are. Still standing. Still fighting. That's what makes you unstoppable. That's what makes you dangerous. You've realized that you don't need anyone's permission to be great. You don't need anyone to validate your worth, your potential. It's not about them. It's about you, your choices, your discipline, your will. Because that's what it all comes down to: choice. Every day you choose to keep going, to fight, to rise. And that choice, it's what separates the strong from the weak. You can't lose because you've already made your decision. You've chosen strength over weakness, action over excuses, growth over comfort. And comfort, that's the trap, isn't it? The lie the world tells you to keep you small, to keep you from becoming the person you're meant to be. Comfort is the death of progress, the enemy of greatness. You don't want comfort. You want the struggle, the pain, the growth. Because you know that's where life really begins. That's where you find out who you are, what you're made of. You can't lose because you've stopped fearing the fight. You've embraced it. You've made it your ally, your weapon. And now? Now you're unstoppable. They'll try to break you. Life will throw everything it has at you. But it doesn't matter. You've been through worse. You've survived things that would crush most people. And every time they think they've beaten you, you'll rise again. Because losing isn't in your nature. It never has been. You can't lose because you've already decided that the only way is forward. There's no turning back, no retreating to the safety of what was. The past is gone, burned to ashes. You've buried it, grieved it, and now it's fuel. Every mistake, every regret, every moment of weakness, they're the kindling that lights your fire. You've learned something most people avoid. Growth demands sacrifice. You can't carry the weight of everything you've been and expect to become something greater. The old version of you had to die for this one to emerge. The fight isn't about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering who you've always been, stripping away the lies, the fears, the masks, until what remains is unshakable. That's the work. That's the real battle. And it's lonely, isn't it? When you're in the middle of it, when the doubts come creeping in, it feels like no one understands, like the whole world is moving on without you. But loneliness is part of the process. It's in the quiet, in the solitude, that you find your strength. Strength isn't loud. It's not flashy or attention-seeking. True strength is quiet. It's in the moments when no one's watching, when it's just you and the weight of your choices, when you decide to keep going, even when there's no applause, no recognition. You can't lose because you've built that strength, brick by brick, day by day. It wasn't handed to you, wasn't gifted by luck or circumstance. You earned it. And that makes it unbreakable. They don't see the work, do they? The sleepless nights, the sacrifices, the discipline. They don't see the battles you fight in your own mind. But they'll see the results. Oh, they'll see them. And when they do, they'll call it luck. Let them. Let them underestimate you, doubt you, dismiss you. Their opinions don't matter. They never have. The only opinion that matters is your own. The only voice you need to listen to is the one inside you, the one telling you to keep fighting. Because the world doesn't reward the weak. It doesn't pity the ones who give up. It respects the ones who endure. The ones who refuse to quit. The ones who take every punch, every failure, every setback, and turn it into fuel. You can't lose because you've made the decision to be relentless. To be the kind of person who doesn't back down, who doesn't give up, no matter how hard it gets. And it will get hard. Life will test you, push you to your limits, try to break you. But you've been tested before. You've faced worse. And every time you've come out stronger. Every time you've proven to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. This isn't just about survival. It's about thriving. About taking control of your life, your mind, your destiny. About refusing to let anyone or anything dictate your worth. You can't lose because you've realized that no one's coming to save you. You don't need saving. You've got everything you need inside you. The strength. The resilience. The will. So keep going. Keep fighting. Keep proving to yourself that you're unstoppable. that no matter how many times life tries to knock you down, you'll get back up. Because that's who you are. A fighter, a warrior, a survivor. And as long as you keep going, as long as you refuse to quit, you can't lose. You can't lose because you've mastered something most people never will: the art of control. Not control over the world, not over other people, but over yourself. Your mind, your emotions, your reactions. That's where the real power lies. The world will try to pull you in 100 different directions, tempt you with distractions, bait you into chaos. But you don't bite, do you? You've learned to stay calm in the storm, to see clearly when others are blinded by panic. It wasn't easy to get here. You had to unlearn every lie you were told, every belief that kept you small. They said you couldn't change, that you were a victim of your circumstances. But you knew better. You knew the power was always in your hands. And that's why you can't lose. Because you've stopped blaming the world for your problems. You've stopped waiting for someone else to fix them. You've taken responsibility for everything, every failure, every mistake, every moment of weakness. That's not weakness. That's strength. Owning your flaws, your struggles, your pain, it's what makes you untouchable. No one can use them against you because you've already faced them. You've already accepted them. But acceptance isn't the same as surrender. You don't just accept your flaws, you work on them. Every day. You wake up and decide to be better than you were yesterday. Even if it's just by an inch, a step, a breath. Progress is progress, no matter how small. You can't lose because you understand this is a long game. The victories you want, the life you're building, it's not going to happen overnight. And that's fine. You're not in a rush. You're not chasing instant gratification like the rest of them. While they're wasting time, you're putting in the work. While they're making excuses, you're making moves. While they're looking for shortcuts, you're taking the hard road. Because you know the hard road is the only road worth taking. You felt the weight of failure, haven't you? It's heavy, crushing, but it doesn't scare you anymore. Because every time you've failed, you've learned. And every lesson has brought you closer to the person you're becoming. Failure isn't the end. It's a beginning. It's a doorway to growth, to strength, to wisdom. You don't fear it because you've embraced it. Because you know it's part of the process. You can't lose because you've built something unshakable: belief in yourself. Not the kind of belief that's loud or boastful, but the quiet, unyielding kind. The kind that doesn't need validation or approval. That belief, it's your anchor, your compass. It's what keeps you moving forward when the path is dark, when the odds are stacked against you, when everyone else would quit. And they will quit. Most people do. They don't have what you have. They don't have the fire, the discipline, the resilience. They'll fall away one by one, and you'll be left standing. Because you can't lose. Not when you've come this far. Not when you've fought this hard. Not when you've turned every weakness into strength, every setback into fuel, every failure into a stepping stone. The world doesn't owe you anything. You've accepted that. But you don't need the world's approval, its rewards, its recognition. You don't need anyone to tell you you're good enough. You've already decided you are. You can't lose because you've made a choice to rise, a choice to fight, a choice to become the kind of person who doesn't just survive, but thrives. And that choice, it's everything. It's what separates you from the rest. It's what makes you unstoppable. So let them doubt you. Let them talk. Let them watch, because in the end you'll prove them all wrong. Not with words, not with empty promises, but with actions, with results. Because actions, they're louder than anything else. And your actions, they're telling a story of resilience, of strength, of someone who refuses to give up no matter what. You can't lose. Not now, not ever. You can't lose because your resolve is carved from the hardest stone. You've learned that life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about walking straight into it, facing it, owning it. The world wants to break you, but it never counted on your defiance. There's something about you they don't understand. It's the quiet power, the unshaken gaze, the refusal to bow. You've felt defeat brush against your skin, but you've never let it seep into your soul. That's the difference between you and the rest. They crumble under pressure. They fold when things get hard. But you, pressure sharpens you. It turns your edges into blades. It molds you into someone even you didn't think you could become. You can't lose because you've embraced the pain, not run from it, not hidden from it. You've stared it in the face and said, "Come closer. I'll show you what I'm made of." Pain doesn't control you anymore. You've taken it and turned it into power. And power, it's not loud or boastful. It doesn't beg for attention. Real power is quiet. It's the ability to keep moving forward, even when the ground beneath you is crumbling. It's knowing that no matter how hard life hits you, you'll stand back up. Every scar you carry tells a story, not of weakness, but of survival, of resilience, of strength. You don't hide those scars. You wear them, because they're proof of what you've endured, of what you've overcome. You can't lose because you stop being afraid of failure. Failure doesn't scare you anymore, it fuels you. Every loss, every setback, every time the world said no, you've used it as a reason to fight harder. They don't see it, do they? The nights you've spent alone with your thoughts, wrestling with the doubts, the fears, the pain. They don't see the battles you fight in silence. But you don't need them to. You don't need applause. You don't need validation. What you're building, this strength, this resilience, it's not for them. It's for you. Because you've realized something most people never will. The greatest battle you'll ever fight is the one within yourself. And you've chosen to win. You can't lose because you've learned to master your mind. To silence the doubts, the fears, the lies it tries to feed you. You've taken control. And now it's your greatest weapon. The mind is where victory begins. It's where strength is born. And you've made it unbreakable. You've trained it to see the possibilities, not the limitations. To focus on the solution, not the problem. The world will try to break you. But the world doesn't realize it's too late. You've already broken yourself, shattered every weakness, every excuse, every fear, and rebuilt something indestructible. You can't lose because you've stopped looking for shortcuts. You've accepted that the only way is through the pain, through the struggle, through the darkness. They'll never understand what it takes, will they? The discipline, the sacrifice, the sleepless nights, the endless grind. But you don't need them to. You've stopped explaining yourself. You've realized that success isn't about being understood, it's about being undeniable. And that's what you're becoming. Undeniable. You can't lose because you've made up your mind. You've drawn a line in the sand, and you've said, this is who I am. This is what I'm capable of. And nothing will stop me. So let the world throw everything it has at you. Let it try to break you. It doesn't matter. You've been broken before, and every time you've come back stronger. You've turned every wound into armor, every setback into a stepping stone, every doubt into determination. Because you've decided that losing isn't an option, not for someone like you. You can't lose, because you won't let yourself. You can't lose because you've chosen to rise above the noise. The whispers of doubt, the criticisms, the judgments, they're just static to you now. You don't entertain them. Don't let them into your mind. You've built a fortress in there, and only you hold the key. People will always try to tell you who you are, what you can do, where you belong, but their opinions don't define you. They never have. The only voice that matters is yours, and your voice is clear, steady, unwavering. You've looked at yourself in the mirror, truly looked, and you've seen what's possible. You've seen the fire, the hunger, the drive. You've seen someone who refuses to be anything less than their potential. You can't lose because you've stopped waiting for permission. You don't need it. You don't need anyone to tell you it's your time, that you're ready, that you're worthy. You've claimed it, declared it, owned it. This world wasn't built for the timid. It wasn't designed to reward those who hesitate. It belongs to those who take it, those who fight for it. And you've decided to fight. Not with fists, not with rage, but with focus, with patience, with an unrelenting commitment to your vision. You're not here for revenge, for petty victories, for meaningless battles. You're here to win the war within yourself. You can't lose because you've stopped comparing yourself to others. Their paths aren't yours. Their victories aren't yours. You've realized that the only competition that matters is the one in the mirror. And every day you wake up with a single goal, to be better than the person you were yesterday. Just one step forward. One small victory. That's how you win. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. About showing up even when you don't feel like it. About putting in the work, even when no one's watching. About proving to yourself, again and again, that you're capable of more. They'll never see the hours you've put in, the sacrifices you've made, the battles you've fought in silence, and that's fine. Let them see the results. Let them wonder how you did it. Because you can't lose. Not when you've come this far. Not when you've built yourself brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. You've walked through fire, haven't you? Felt its heat, its pain, its fury. But instead of running, you embraced it. Let it forge you, shape you, strengthen you. Now you carry that fire within you. It burns quietly but fiercely. It's not for show, not for others. It's for you. A constant reminder of where you've been, what you've endured, and what you're capable of. You can't lose because you've stopped fearing the unknown. You've accepted that life is uncertain, unpredictable, messy, and instead of resisting it, you've leaned into it. You've learned to adapt, to pivot, to keep moving forward no matter what. Because the truth is, nothing can prepare you for what's coming. But you don't need preparation. You've got resilience. And resilience, it's stronger than any plan, any strategy, any blueprint. It's what keeps you standing when everything around you is falling apart. It's what keeps you going when everyone else has stopped. You can't lose because you've decided to play the long game, to focus on the bigger picture, to keep your eyes on the horizon, even when the path is steep, the climb relentless. Because you know the struggle is worth it. The pain, the sacrifice, the doubt, it's all temporary. But the strength you're building, the person you're becoming, the life you're creating, that's forever. So let the challenges come. Let the obstacles rise. Let the world test you, push you, try to break you. It doesn't matter. You've already made up your mind. You can't lose, because losing was never an option. You can't lose because you've chosen to fight battles that matter. Not every war is worth waging. Not every hill is worth dying on. And you've learned to tell the difference. You conserve your energy, sharpen your focus, and aim at the targets that move you forward. They call it ruthless. You call it clarity. You're not here to please everyone, to win their approval, to fit into their fragile boxes. You're here to do what needs to be done. You can't lose because you've learned to let go of the past, of the pain, of the things you can't change. You've stopped carrying the weight of regrets and what ifs. Instead, you've channeled that energy into building what lies ahead. The past tried to chain you, didn't it? Whispered lies in your ear, telling you that you'd never escape, never grow, never be more. But you proved it wrong. You broke those chains. And now, when you look back, you don't see a prison. You see lessons. You see the fire that burned away your old self, making room for who you were always meant to be. You can't lose because you've embraced solitude. While others are afraid to be alone with their thoughts, you've made peace with yours. You've faced the darkness within you and found strength in it. Loneliness doesn't scare you anymore. You've realized that solitude is where clarity is born. It's where you hear your own voice, undistracted by the noise of the world. It's where you find direction. Most people drown in silence, but you thrive in it. Because silence doesn't mean weakness. It means power. It means control. It means understanding yourself in a way no one else ever could. You can't lose because you've learned to endure. Not just survive, but endure. To hold steady when the waves crash. To keep moving when the ground shakes. To stand tall when the weight of the world bears down on your shoulders. Endurance isn't flashy. It's not glamorous. But it's the foundation of greatness. It's what separates those who quit from those who rise. You've endured the sleepless nights, the doubts that screamed in your mind, the pain that threatened to break you, and every time you've come out stronger. You can't lose because you've chosen discipline over comfort. While others chase distractions, you've chosen focus. While they give in to temptation, you've chosen restraint. While they take the easy road, you've taken the hard one. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's a gift. It's what frees you from the chains of mediocrity. It's what allows you to build something real, something lasting, something that no one can take from you. You can't lose because you've stopped waiting for the right moment. You've realized there is no perfect time, no flawless plan, no guaranteed outcome. The only moment you have is now. So you've stopped hesitating, stopped overthinking, stopped waiting for a sign. You've chosen to act, to move, to create. Because action, it's the only thing that separates dreams from reality. And you're not here to dream. You're here to live. You can't lose because you built a fire that won't burn out. Not in the face of failure. Not in the face of fear. Not in the face of anything the world throws at you. This fire, it's what keeps you going when the odds are against you. It's what pushes you to take one more step, fight one more battle, climb one more hill. And it's not fueled by anger or hate or revenge. It's fueled by purpose, by the unshakable belief that you are here for a reason. You can't lose because you've become unstoppable, not because you're unbreakable, but because even when you break, you rebuild. Even when you fall, you rise. Even when you fail, you try again. The world can throw its worst at you, but it won't matter, because you've made a decision to rise, to fight, to win. And when you've made that decision, truly made it, nothing can stop you. You can't lose. Not now. Not ever. You can't lose because you've come to understand that pain is temporary, but purpose is eternal. Every ache, every struggle, every sleepless night, it's all just fuel. Fuel for the fire that keeps you alive, that keeps you moving forward, even when the world feels like it's closing in. They don't understand the price you've paid, do they? They see the strength, the determination, the victories, but they don't see the scars. They don't see the quiet moments where doubt clawed at your mind, where fear whispered lies in your ear, where giving up seemed like the only option. But you didn't give up. You refused. You fought back, not for them, not for recognition, but for yourself, because deep down you knew you were worth it. You can't lose because you've learned the art of patience. While the world rushes to grab what it can, you've chosen to wait, to build, to craft something real, something lasting. Patience isn't weakness. It's power. It's the ability to see the long game, to understand that greatness isn't built in a day. It's built brick by brick, moment by moment, decision by decision. And you've made every decision count. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but with purpose, with intention, with the understanding that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to what you're chasing. You can't lose because you've stopped needing validation. The applause, the approval, the admiration, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is what you think of yourself when the lights go out, when the world is silent, when it's just you and your thoughts. And in those moments, you found peace. Not because life is easy, not because the road is smooth, but because you've made peace with yourself, with your flaws, your mistakes, your past. That's where your strength comes from. Not from perfection, but from acceptance, from the knowledge that you are enough as you are right now. You can't lose because you've stopped running from the truth about who you are, about what you want, about what it's going to take to get there. Truth is hard, it's messy, it's uncomfortable, but it's also liberating. Because once you face it, once you accept it, nothing can hold you back. The truth is, you're not invincible. You're not immune to pain, to fear, to failure. But you don't have to be. Strength isn't about being unbreakable, it's about choosing to rise. Again and again, no matter how many times you fall. You can't lose because you've made peace with the struggle. You don't fear it anymore. You don't resent it. You've embraced it. Because you've realized that the struggle is what shapes you. It's what tests you, refines you, strengthens you. Without it, there's no growth, no progress, no victory. So you welcome the challenges, the setbacks, the failures. Not because they're easy, but because they're necessary. They're part of the process, part of the journey, part of becoming who you're meant to be. You can't lose because you've chosen to believe in yourself, not blindly, not arrogantly, but with quiet confidence, with the understanding that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are enough. That belief, it's unshakable now. It's rooted in everything you've been through, everything you've overcome, everything you've built. And it's that belief that will carry you forward, through the storms, through the darkness, through the moments where the world feels like it's against you. You can't lose, because losing isn't in your nature. You can't lose, because you won't let yourself. You can't lose, because you've already decided to win.